Hello, I'm Robert. Fact-checking things that scare people for our Facebook group Doomsday Debunked. This is about the Mayan calendar. And this story that's appearing in various tabloids is claiming that the 13th Baktun of the Mayan calendar is going to start in June and on the 21st. It's absolute nonsense. This actually started on the 21st of December. And you can look up today's date in the Mayan calendar. So there it is. And today is the 14th of June in our calendar, and it's the 13th Baktun of the 7th Tun into the 13th Baktun, and the 10th Uinol, and the 12th Kin or day. 12 days into the 10th Uinol of the 7th Tun of the 13th Baktun. So as you can see, the Mayans didn't use anything like our calendars. And they obviously couldn't use the Gregorian calendar or the Julian calendar because those both date back to the birth of Jesus. And Mayans knew nothing about the birth of Jesus. Their calendar starts 3,114 years BC. Got here somewhere. We are 3114 BC. So, I mean, it's just completely wrong. So the various tabloid stories claiming. We scroll down to one of these stories. Here we go. Conspiracy theorists claim Mayan calendar was wrong, and the world will end on June 21st. And this is nonsense. The Mayans claimed their calendar would start on 22nd December, and the Mayans did not think the world would end. That's long and short of it. The Mayans thought of this as being just a new Baktun, like a new day. Like at midnight you start a new day. The world doesn't end because it's a new day. The world doesn't end because it's a new year. And the world doesn't end because it's a new Baktun. And there are Baktuns way into our future. So the 7th Baktun was 344 before the Christian era. Then the 8th, then we had the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, which started in 1618. So when the Spaniards got to the Mayans, then it was ready. Then it was in the 11th Baktun, and the start of the 12th Baktun happened in 1618. And the 13th Baktun starts in 2012, the 14th in 2400, and so on. And then you get the first Piktun in 4772. So their calendar just goes on and on like ours. There's nothing there about the world ending. So why are so many people scared the world is going to end when the calendar had nothing to do with the world ending? Well, it was just made up. It was for the 2012 movie. And so yeah, first, these are the Mayans, the real Mayans, celebrating the start of the 13th Baktun. There's a few highlights from the real Baktuns, real Mayans. Many people don't realise that the Mayans still exist today. Indeed, one of the people in our Doomsday Debunked group, then I think he said his maternal grandmother was a Mayan. They fled, had part of Mayan ancestry, and they fled into the mountains when the Spaniards conquered them, and many of them survived. And Then they came out again, they intermarried, and there's a mixture of the Mayan and Christian ideas. But they still use the Mayan calendar. And so their 13th Baktun, it wasn't at all anything to be scared about. It was just like a New Year celebration, but a very big one because it only happens every few centuries. So why are we scared? Well, it was this deeply unethical movie. The way they did the viral... So this movie in 2009, and it was called 2012. And the movie was made up, it was just a made up story, in which they claimed that the Mayans said the world would end, which they didn't, as we know, at the start of the 13th Baktun. And then they claimed the scientists said that as well, and the scientists didn't say that. It was just invented for a movie. And then they made this website where you could go and click on the website, and children would go there and try and get a lottery number to try to be one of the people that would be saved in the movie. And he didn't explain that this is just fiction. And so many people believed it. And that is the basis of why everyone got scared. It's just a viral trick, a viral marketing. And it was deeply, widely criticised for unethical viral marketing. There's David Morrison, you can read about it. I think when you rely on the internet and scare children to make a buck, that is ethically wrong. So, and I hear from people who were children back then, and who were very scared by it. And he came across people who were contemplating suicide because of the viral marketing of this movie. It was wildly successful. They earned $500 million by this method. But it's not the right way to market a movie. And the science is absolute nonsense. They talk about a special alignment of the planets, but alignments do nothing, causing the sun to release mutated neutrinos. Neutrinos don't mutate any more than the electrons. It's like saying the electrons don't change. The electrons we have now are the same electrons that they've been since the beginning of the universe. Sometimes they're transformed into other things by some interactions, but for instance, you can create an electron and a positron just by a very energetic beam of light. But you don't, positrons and electrons don't turn into anything else, they don't mutate. And this is Darrell O'Brien, comedian in the US, and he says that makes about as much sense as saying the electrons are angry. And they also, or the light from the sky, from the sun, has gone off, and it's smelly, and that just doesn't happen. In the same way neutrinos can mutate. So science was nonsense. And then going back to the Mayans, then they were pretty good at their astronomy in the sense that they noticed the eclipses and they had a very good calendar, which was rather better than the Julian calendar we had in Europe. That made them easier. They kept track of the eclipses quite well, but they're not a patch on modern astronomy. Nothing at all. It is remarkable for their time, but compared to modern astronomy, nothing. And they believed that let's have this crocodile floating in the pond. They believed that the Earth is the back of a giant crocodile in an enormous ocean. That's what they thought we are. Either a crocodile, some discussion of whether they thought we were a crocodile or a turtle. And so the astronomy of people, they didn't have telescopes. The astronomy of the people who thought that we could be a crocodile or a turtle, we could be living on the back of a crocodile or turtle, is obviously not going to be quite up to the standard of the astronomy of people who know that the Earth is a planet and goes around the sun. You shouldn't use the Mayans as a basis for astronomy. That's all there is to that. So then I'm just going to talk. So I don't think I said. So yeah, it's explained further down the page. I didn't explain. So what was this all based on? Well, first of all, there's a joke post, and this joke post claimed that Stephen Hawking said that the Mayans, and this is using the Ethiopian calendar. The Ethiopian calendar is 8 years out from our Gregorian calendar, and it uses it's based on different year for the birthday of Jesus. And they just made up some fake quotes from Stephen Hawking claiming that he thought that because this year is 2012 in the Mayan calendar, in the Ethiopian calendar, because they have a different year for the birth of Jesus. So, but that makes no difference to the Mayan calendar. No matter what it is in the Gregorian calendar, this is the date in the Mayan calendar, 13th Baktun, 7th Tun, and so on. And 13th Baktun, the start of the 13th Baktun was 2005 in the Ethiopian calendar. Then the other one is just a plain mistake. So this chap called Paolo, he tweeted, maybe he was drunk, who knows? Maybe he was just having a laugh, but he tweeted this thing that was a mistake. He tweeted that every year you lose 11 days in the difference between the Gregorian and the Julian calendar. The truth is that every year, every 128 years, you lose 1 day. And there you are, 10 days out, back in the time of Pope Gregory, 11 days out now, in the next century, then 12, then 13, and finally 14 days out. And the year 2000, so we remained 13 days out through 1900 all the way through to 2100. That's because the difference between the two calendars is that the Julian calendar, then every 4th year is a leap year. The Gregorian calendar, then 1700, 1800, 1900, they were not leap years. The only centuries that are leap years are ones that are divisible by 4. So 2000, because the number of centuries is divisible by 4. And so it creeps forward by an extra year, an extra day every century that isn't divisible by 4. So we've only gone 13 days out. So that was just a mistake. He obviously isn't an expert on calendars. And he did a tweet, maybe he was drunk, who knows. And then the Daily Mirror, which is a red top tabloid, and they just run a story on anything, like this fake story about a hamster. So some editor found a tweet and said, oh, we'll run a story on this tweet. And so they ran a story claiming that the real date of the calendar is June 21st, based on this calculation, which based on this false assumption, there's a difference of 11 days, and absolutely nothing to do with Mayans, because Mayans don't use the Gregorian calendar, and Mayans don't use the Julian calendar. As I said, repeat again, this is today's date, 13th Baktun, 7th Tun, nothing to do with the Gregorian calendar. There's no 2012, 2020, there's no December, there's no January, February, March, they don't have our months. It's just not our calendar at all. And we can be pretty certain of the Gregorian, and that is the correct calendar. If I pop up here, then where do I have it? It's been checked using carbon dating. So they first of all do it by the Spanish people who noted down what the date was when they visited the Mayans. But the Mayans had stopped using the long count by then. so they use a short account at that point. So there are other things done to synchronize, and it turns out the synchronization turns out the same as the natural one the Mayans are using today. I don't know if they got it from the Europeans or it's just gone all the way through. Anyway, that's called the GMT standard, which stands for Goodman Martinez Thompson, nothing with GMT time, mean time. And by that standard, December 21 was the Mayan 13th Baktun. And then they checked that with carbon dating, and it's the right date. So that is definitely today's date in the Mayan calendar. So hopefully that's enough, and hopefully that has helped some of you who've got a bit scared by this really absurd story. Really, of course you've got no way of knowing that, but if you haven't got this background, but from astronomically and scientifically it's an absurd story. It doesn't make sense at all, and they're just based on a mistake. It's based on the, and so the Mirror go and tweet this, and now if you go and look your Mayan, and the sun ran it, and who knows what else ran it, Mayan 21st June, and then you'll see all the people who look at top stories. So all these people running it next week, so that's Z News, whoever that is. Look, and if you search for it, then you won't find any of the people saying it's false, because nobody bothers saying that such a rubbish thing is false. Look, in many different languages they're saying it. If you go to all, then you've got all these videos, there's top stories, the Daily Express, the Pen Live. You know, if you don't know how much fake news there is on Google News, then you would think these are legitimate news stories. They're not. All of this is based on some student who did a tweet, who didn't know anything about the calendar. He got it completely wrong. He did a tweet, he deleted his tweet eventually, and then I think in embarrassment he deleted his entire account. So the person who is the basis of all that, the basis of all this fake news, then you can imagine be very embarrassing. You know, he's a graduate student. I'm not going to dox him. I'm not even going to say his complete name. But you see, he deleted his account. And no wonder. Imagine you do a silly tweet, just a silly mistake that anybody could do. Then you wake up the next day and you see this sort of stuff, all based on your little tweet that you did maybe when you were drunk, or tired, or just being silly. And that's the world we live in. But these are the it's just Google News. I think Google News should label this and say fake news, top stories dash fake news, or just say red top tabloid, fake news, fake news, fake news. Should have a little label there saying fake news. But sadly they don't. Anyway, so if any of you got scared, hopefully this has helped you a bit, and do join our Facebook Doomsday Debunk group if you need help with this sort of thing, and do join if you are good, especially if you're good at working with people who are autistic or manic. These people are most affected by these manic depressive, these are the top people we get. The top people are most affected by these stories. Autistic people are not very good at making a difference between science, between fiction and reality, and they find it especially difficult to recognize that people are saying fake news, especially most autistic people. And the manic depressive people, then in the manic stage especially, then they're just biz, you're making connections all the time and very vulnerable to a story like this. You know, logic isn't working properly. and then of course young kids, and then also people who are very empathic tend to easily fall prey to this sort of thing. Anyway, people who think in terms of feelings and emotions and empathy, and they're not very involved in logic, and especially kind of mathematical kind of logic, emotional logic, but not so much mathematical logic, and especially dates and things like that. And they're very vulnerable to this sort of thing. Anyway, I'll stop this and hope this helps some of you.